I joined EQT 12, 13 years ago, and the reason was really that I felt it was a truly entrepreneurial and performance-driven organization.
And I saw a lot of opportunity.
The reason I joined EQT was really because of the people.
That's what sets EQT apart from competitors.
Because in the end, that's what it's all about, right? We don't have any, fixed assets. It's all about the people in the end.
We're different and we do things differently. That's what I love about EQT.
How I interpreted EQT's culture, I think we are all very respectful of everyone around us, everyone we are working with.
Everywhere you go, every interaction you have, there's an incredible amount of will and energy of doing something that they love.
So I think it's one of those places where people actually come to work, not because they have to, but because they want to.
In a sense, EQT is like a family in that you can really be yourself.
The organization in itself is very curious. We want to do things differently.
What's unique about EQT is its informal and yet very high-performing culture. It's our ability to combine a high-performance culture with true respect for our colleagues and other stakeholders.
I would say that EQT is unique. That's probably the one word that I would use.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Awesome. EQT is awesome.
Quality. I think it's a high-quality team comprised of high-quality individuals doing business in a high-quality way.
Unstoppable. Together as a team, we're unstoppable.
Dear shareholders, welcome to EQT's second shareholders meeting. I'm happy to see that so many of you have joined here today to follow the meeting. 2020 was a turbulent year, difficult for many of us. With the pandemic came restrictions, social distancing, isolation, close ones being ill, and some even leaving us. One of the most challenging years I can remember, probably in my career or maybe in my life. For the business, though, it turned out much less disruptive than what we and many with us thought and planned for when the pandemic was a fact. The world is changing fast. Technology is redefining old industries and creating new ones. We have benefited from embracing change, but also driving change. We love change. The pandemic has accelerated trends that were already coming. Some of today's strongest trends are sustainability and climate actions. These trends are very positive to the world and to the people and societies at large. So, by investing with today's positive, strong trends, we are making the world a better place. For us, investing with trends and drive change is how we create value and deliver return to our customers and to our shareholders. And that is also how we build great companies. This is how we put purpose into practice. And this is how we keep our business future-proofed. Doing good is not only good as a business, it's good for everything. It's like karma, and I believe in karma. We are investing in good companies. We invest with strong positive trends. We drive change that benefits society at large. We invest in companies that allows us to get good return for our customers and our shareholders. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Well, it's not that simple. So today we will dig deeper into some of the initiatives we're running to strengthen our position and to further our sustainability mission. You will hear a presentation from the CEO of EQT Foundation, Silja Holms-Lindahl. Silja will explain how the foundation works alongside and some of the activities of the impact activities of EQT. After the meeting is closed, Olof Svensson, Head of Shareholders Relations, will moderate a panel discussions with board member Nicola Kim, Per Franzén, co-head of EQT Private Equity, and Anna Wahlström, Global Head of Human Resources. They will discuss how EQT is putting its purpose into practice, but also to reflect on other questions often asked by our shareholders. Please stay tuned for that. I would also encourage you all to take the opportunity and ask us questions during the meeting. With that, I would like to welcome you all to the meeting and hand over to Erik Sjöman, who will lead us through today's agenda.
Tack så mycket Conny. Då öppnar jag stämman faktiskt med det här klubbslaget och ni är välkomna hit. Ja, den här stämman genomförs på precis samma sätt som förra årets årsstämma i EQT, men ändå på ett sätt som några av er förmodligen ändå inte är så vana vid än. Så därför ska jag börja med att gå igenom några instruktioner för er. Vid stämman kommer det hållas anföranden både på svenska och på engelska, och alla anföranden kommer att textas på det andra språket. Det finns några funktioner vid stämman som är viktiga att känna till. Om ni deltar via en dator, då har skärmbilden 2 delar, och till höger ser ni då själva stämman. Det vill säga just nu så ser ni mig prata och presentationen. Och till vänster så ser ni funktionerna vid stämman. Om ni deltar via till exempel en mobiltelefon, då har ni inte en delad bild. Och då kan ni istället välja att se eller inte se själva sändningen genom att klicka på den svarta raden där det står broadcast. När ni då inte ser sändningen så ser ni istället de funktioner jag nu ska gå igenom, och vice versa. Om ni trycker på i-symbolen, ja, då får ni viss praktisk information om stämman. Och trycker ni på dokumentsymbolen, då hittar ni där alla stämmohandlingar. Och trycker ni på symbolen med en pratbubbla, då kan ni ställa frågor, och jag återkommer till det alldeles strax. Symbolen med ett litet stapeldiagram kommer att bli synlig först när vi startar röstningen. Och ni har kunnat välja mellan att förhandsrösta eller att delta och rösta online idag. Och har ni valt att förhandsrösta, ja, då är ju röstningen redan avklarad. Då har ni kunnat välja att ändå följa stämman idag. Och några av er har gjort det, och för er är det naturligtvis bara att luta er tillbaka. Ni kan inte rösta igen och har därför inte heller tillgång till röstningsfunktionen. Men för er som valt att delta online idag så ska jag berätta hur det går till att rösta. Vi har 19 punkter på den föreslagna dagordningen. Dagordningen som ni nu ser i bild är en lite förenklad version av dagordningen. Den fulla dagordningen hittar ni i kallelsen som ni i sin tur hittar bland stämmohandlingarna. Här kan ni också se att det kommer att hållas en presentation utöver de vanliga anförandena. Och som Conny nämnde att det också kommer att hållas en paneldiskussion efter stämman. Presentationen och paneldiskussionen ser ni markerade i orange i bilden nu. Silja Holms Indahl, som är vd för EQT Foundation, kommer att presentera EQT Foundation, hur stiftelsen verkar som aktieägare och stiftelsens verksamhet. Och som Conny nämnde så kommer ni efter stämman att kunna följa en paneldiskussion för att ge er aktieägare en chans att lära känna ledningen för EQT lite bättre. Paneldiskussionens tema är hållbarhet, putting purpose into practice. Ja, punkterna 1 och 19 är stämmans öppnande och avslutning. Där fattar vi inga beslut. Och det gör vi inte heller på punkterna 7 och 8. Där lyssnar vi på anföranden, har frågestund och lägger fram redovisningshandlingar. Men på övriga punkter ska vi fatta beslut. Punkterna 2-6 här, ja, det är inledande stämmoformalia som vi ska försöka klubba igenom snabbt och enkelt utan röstning med knapptryckning. När det gäller övriga punkter dock, det är 9-18 på dagordningen. Det är de materiella beslutspunkterna vid stämman. Där vill EQT mycket gärna att aktieägarna verkligen röstar. Och där kommer vi alltså att genomföra full röstning genom knapptryckning. Och röstningen är faktiskt redan öppen. Det går alltså bra att rösta på alla de här punkterna, 9-18 redan nu. Ni behöver inte vänta på att någonting ska hända vid stämman, utan ni kan avgöra röster och ha det avklarat nu direkt. Om ni vill vänta så går det förstås också bra, men ni måste ha röstat på alla punkter som ni vill rösta på när röstningen stänger. Och röstningen stänger när vi under punkt 7 har lyssnat på vd, på valberedningen och på revisorn och haft frågestund. I slutet av frågestunden så kommer jag förvarna er om att röstningen strax stänger och sen stänger den någon minut senare. Och senast då måste ni ha avgett era röster och det blir för sent att ångra sig. Det kommer visas en liten klocka uppe i vänstra hörnet som en påminnelse om att ni måste rösta. Och hur röstar man då? Jo, genom att klicka på symbolen med ett litet stapeldiagram så får ni fram röstningsfunktionen. Och där ser ni de olika beslutspunkterna och så kan ni ange era val. Det är ja, det är nej eller det är avstår. Ni behöver scrolla ner för att se alla beslutspunkter. Trycker ni fel eller ändrar er, ja, då kan ni trycka på det svarsalternativ ni istället vill välja. Det är det senast tryckta som gäller. Då trycker ni på ångra på en viss punkt och sen inte gör något nytt val, ja, då kommer ingen röst alls att bli avgiven på den punkten. Överst på din skärm så står det att du har röstat på X av 28 frågor. Och när det står 28 av 28, ja, då har du avgivit alla röster som är möjliga att avge. Ni är också mycket välkomna att ställa frågor. Och då trycker man på pratbubblesymbolen i funktionerna. Och där kan ni skriva era frågor i fältet ställ en fråga, så tar vi hand om dem vid frågestunden. Vet ni redan nu att ni vill fråga något så är det bara att skicka in frågan direkt så snart som möjligt. Ställ gärna frågor om de enskilda ärendena på dagordningen eller andra frågor som ni vill ställa till styrelsen, till vd, valberedningen eller revisor. Streamingen av stämman, alltså själva utsändningen, har en viss fördröjning så väldigt snabba frågor eller följdfrågor på uppstuds kan av rent tekniska skäl bli lite besvärliga för oss att fånga upp. Så ju bättre framförhållning jag har, desto bättre. Ni ska också veta att man inte kan ställa anonyma frågor utan jag kommer att upplysa om vem som har ställt respektive fråga vid frågestunden. Och de frågor ni har ställt kommer inte att synas på skärmen utan de redovisas muntligen av mig och frågorna kommer att besvaras muntligen här vid stämman. Ni har också haft möjlighet att ställa frågor skriftligt inför stämman och svar på eventuella sådana frågor finns på EQTs hemsida. Ni kan titta där, vi kommer inte att upprepa sånt som eventuellt finns där. Ja, ytterligare några snabba upplysningar innan vi kommer igång. Årsredovisningen och övriga handlingar och förslag som framläggs vid stämman, de framläggs genom att de har hållits och hålls tillgängliga hos EQT och på EQTs hemsida. Enklaste sättet att samlat se de framlagda förslagen är att titta i kallelsen till stämman. Och om ni trycker på dokumentsymbolen så hittar ni alla stämmohandlingar där. Och vi ska välja styrelse idag och därför ska ni känna till att information om vilka uppdrag de föreslagna personerna har i andra företag, det finns i materialet från valberedningen som i sin tur finns i stämmohandlingarna. Man får inte rösta för sin egen ansvarsfrihet. Och jag ska slutligen nämna att styrelsen har beslutat att utomstående får delta vid stämman, vilket bolagsordningen tillåter. Nu ska vi gå vidare till de inledande formalia besluten. Och då ska vi först välja ordförande för stämman. Och valberedningens förslag är att jag väljs till ordförande. Och här kan jag konstatera redan på grund av förhandsrösterna att stämmans beslut är att välja mig till ordförande. Jag tackar så mycket för det. Protokollet kommer föras av EQTs chefsjurist Lena Almefelt. Hon finns på plats här idag. Och här finns också, som ni redan sett och hört, styrelsens ordförande Conny Jonsson och även Christian Sinding som är vd. Och vi har också övriga styrelsen tillgänglig. Och vi ska välja personer att justera protokollet. Magnus Billing och Jakob Wallenberg som var tänkta för den uppgiften har tyvärr fått förhinder. Och då har valberedningen istället anvisat Ramsey Bruffer, Alecta, och Anders Oskarsson, AMF, som justeringspersoner. Och det finns ett sådant utrymme i förslaget till stämman. Och redan på grund av förhandsrösterna så kan jag konstatera att stämman har valt Ramsey Bruffer och Anders Oskarsson att justera protokollet. Och båda här idag. Röstlängden nu. Som anges i kallelsen så upprättas röstlängden genom att Computershare AB på EQTs uppdrag sammanställer en röstlängd som baserar sig på bolagsstämmo och aktieboken. Och här tas förhandsröstande aktieägare in och naturligtvis också ni som anmält er för online-deltagande förutsatt att ni har loggat in i tid enligt instruktionerna i kallelsen. Röstlängden kontrolleras sedan av de valda justeringspersonerna. Och redan på grund av förhandsrösterna kan jag konstatera att stämman har godkänt röstlängden enligt vad jag nyss beskrev. Computershare har meddelat mig att vi har hur många aktier? Jo, 845 322 250 representerade vid stämman. Och det är 844 998 732,4 röster. Ja, vi ska också godkänna en dagordning och jag kan på grund av förhandsrösterna konstatera att stämman har godkänt den dagordning som finns i kallelsen. Och jag kan också konstatera att stämman har beslutat att den anser sig vara korrekt sammankallad. Ja, det var punkt 6 på dagordningen och då har vi alltså raskt kommit till punkt 7. Och här ska vd hålla ett anförande. Och vi ska också höra ett anförande av Harry Klagsbrunn som är ledamot i valberedningen. Och vi ska höra EQTs revisor Håkan Rising från KPMG. Det blir frågestund och frågor besvaras efter respektive anförande. Christian Sinding håller sitt anförande på engelska, men det textas som sagt i svenska. Frågor till vd besvaras efter hans anförande och frågor ställer ni på svenska eller på engelska beroende på vad ni föredrar. Och tanken är då att vd svarar antingen på svensk, norska eller på engelska. Om det ställs frågor till styrelsen så tar vi dem samtidigt. Innan jag nu lämnar över ordet till Christian så vill jag igen påminna er om att rösta. Röstningen stänger då som sagt när vi har hört alla 3 anförandena och frågestunden är slut. Jag kommer förvarna er en gång till när det återstår någon minut innan röstningen stänger. Och det kommer som sagt även att finnas en klocka som räknar ner till dess att röstningen stänger. Christian, varsågod.
Dear shareholders, 2020 was an unprecedented year. Who would have thought 1 year ago that the pandemic would still disrupt our lives and societies? It has certainly changed the way we do business, work, and live. But it's also been a year of opportunities and creative solutions. In a year when the power of EQT's thematic investment approach and focus on responsible investing proved itself, we had a record year. With the fundraising of EQT 9 and Infrastructure 5, along with the acquisition of Exeter, we grew assets under management by almost 90% last year. Together with a pickup in performance fees, this led to a 34% increase in revenues in 2020, and our EBITDA margin expanded to over 50% as we scale. We've continued to invest in people and talent, and today, together with our new colleagues from Exeter, we employ close to 1,000 fantastic EQTarians globally. EQT has a long-term business model which is built on performance. With strong returns for our clients, we can continue to grow and develop and ultimately create shareholder value. EQT's key funds have continued to perform strongly over the past year, and I'll come back to this later in the presentation. We've stayed focused on delivering EQT's strategy over the past year. In particular, we divested our credit business with the important result that EQT is now entirely focused on active ownership strategies. We also launched EQT Growth, which was one missing piece in our private capital puzzle. EQT Growth has further strengthened EQT's ecosystem, where our global investment advisory teams across all business lines share insights and spot the latest trends. We do this across different regions and sectors, and also work closely to stay ahead of the curve with our global network of EQT advisors. In January this year, we announced that EQT would be joining forces with Exeter, the North American-based real estate player, and we closed that transaction already in April. Exeter is a hidden gem, which fits perfectly within EQT. Our cultures are aligned, and Exeter has a superb performance track record and a highly thematic investment focus. Ward Fitzgerald, the founder of Exeter, is now heading all of EQT's real estate business under the EQT Exeter brand. We've had a successful process bringing our two firms together, and we now have the scale and the platform to continue to grow and develop in this large asset class. So with the strategic progress we've achieved over the past year, we've established EQT as a truly unique private markets firm. In addition to EQT's differentiated investment and ownership approach, we're entirely focused on active ownership strategies where we can really future-proof companies and make a real positive impact. With EQT Growth, EQT is now the only large private markets firm globally that can back companies across the development lifespan, from startup to maturity. That's actually fascinating and a real advantage for us. But of course, behind this all are our people, and they are our most important asset. And our culture is also truly unique. Actually, our culture and values are the bonds that bring us together and ultimately help us succeed as a team in delivering our superior returns. During the year, we've invested a lot of time to interact with colleagues, albeit in a digital manner mostly, to continue to nourish our culture. It's of course been hard to do this during the pandemic, but we have given it our best. For example, we launched initiatives to support our colleagues' mental well-being, which is as important as the physical. And as you know, talent is the key to our success, and the well-being of our talent is an instrumental part of our performance. We will thus continue to nourish our culture and build on the EQT Academy and other initiatives to ensure that we remain the team that people want to join. The EQT funds continue to deliver strong returns over the past year. EQT 7 and Infrastructure 3 are both performing above plan, and all of our other key funds are performing on plan. Since inception, our private capital funds have delivered an average annual return of 22%, and our real asset funds have delivered a 15% average annual return, or net IRR, as we usually say in our industry. Exeter also brings a stellar track record, having generated a net IRR of 21% since inception 15 years ago. Thanks, for instance, to our local with locals approach and our thematic investment strategy, we maintained a healthy investment pace over the past year, with almost 14 billion euro investments announced over the last 12 months. As market conditions have been strong since the second half of 2020 and valuation levels are supportive, the EQT funds have also been focused on driving exits in recent months. And this is going to continue for the foreseeable future, assuming, of course, that the market stays supportive. EQT's purpose is to future-proof companies and make a positive impact with everything we do. This mantra is with us every day, but let me give you a few tangible examples of how we're putting our purpose into practice. EQT is one of the first private markets firms to commit to science-based targets, which, simply put, means that we will set emission reduction targets in line with the Paris Agreement. EQT AB has already converted actually into renewable energy, and all our portfolio companies are accelerating their renewable energy transformation with a long-term target of 100%. A few companies have already transitioned, in fact, and others are in the process of establishing their clear roadmaps. We've been working hard for several years to improve diversity, and in particular, gender. Primarily, we're doing this by recruiting more women at junior levels, which will eventually lead to a more balanced organization. We're slowly seeing progress with more diverse, talented people at senior levels, and women now representing over 10% of the EQT partner group, and actually 40% of our associate team. But this is still not good enough, and we are firmly committed to continue to improve significantly in diversity and inclusion, since we all know that diverse teams perform significantly better. Over the past year, we've implemented several financing structures across both the EQT funds and EQT AB, which are linked to ESG targets. If we meet the targets, we obtain cheaper financing. And this is a great way to actually reward ESG performance and to make it really actionable. Now, delivering strong returns for the fund investors is, of course, vital, but so too is how those returns are created. And EQT strives to combine shareholder value with broader societal and environmental value. For example, several investments made by the EQT funds over the past year, such as Torghatten, Think Project, and BayRF, had electrification and reduction of greenhouse gas emissions as a key value creation component. We believe this is a great way to invest in positive trends in society, as Connie mentioned. So these, along with many other initiatives, are a good start. We have lots of work and opportunities ahead of us. As you know, we want to have a positive impact with everything we do. I firmly believe that EQT, and actually, in fact, the whole private markets industry, has the capital, the governance model, and the business model to invest to support a healthy planet and healthy people. So today, I believe EQT is stronger than ever. We stayed focused on our strategy and our purpose over the past year. We overcame challenges, captured thematic opportunities, and we found solutions. Of course, with a strong focus on performance. And as I look ahead, we will continue to build on EQT's unique position as we launch a new strategy in Asia Pacific, and as we establish additional funds with a longer investment horizon, in line with what our clients are looking for. We'll continue to grow our capital raising team and invest in our digital capabilities, including EQT's proprietary artificial intelligence colleague, Motherbrain, and to strengthen our platform. We'll continue to maintain a strong focus on sustainability and our path towards contributing to a zero-carbon economy. We'll continue to improve diversity in all aspects and search for the best talent globally to nurture our culture and develop our teams. And together, we will continue to challenge each other based on EQT's mantra that everything can always be improved everywhere at all times. On a final note, I want to thank EQT's management team and all of our employees, including our new colleagues from Exeter, for exceptional performance and commitment. I also want to thank the EQT network of advisors and the fund's portfolio companies. And last but not least, let me say thank you to all of EQT's shareholders for your continued support. Thank you.
Tack så mycket, Christian. Det finns tillfälle att ställa frågor, men jag ser inte att några sådana frågor är ställda, vare sig till vd eller till styrelsen. Och då går vi alltså vidare och avslutar frågestunden i den delen. Och ordet går nu istället till valberedningen. Och det är Harry Klagsbrunn. Och det går bra att ställa frågor till Harry och de besvaras efter hans anförande. Harry, varsågod.
Hej. Hej, jag heter Harry Klagsbrunn och jag är ledamot i valberedningen och representerar Barrick Partners. Jag ersätter valberedningens ordförande Jakob Wallenberg som tyvärr har fått förhinder. Utöver mig själv så består valberedningen av Jakob Wallenberg som sagt, utsedd av Investor AB, Kine Börje Olsen, utsedd av Lennart Brecher, Magnus Billing, utsedd av Alekta och Conny Jonsson som är styrelsens ordförande. Och som framgår av kallelsen så föreslår valberedningen val av 8 styrelseledamöter, nämligen omval av Conny Jonsson, Edith Cooper, Johan Forsell, Gordon Orr, Dionne Lebeau och Nicola Kim. Och nyval av Margot Cook och Marcus Wallenberg. Vi föreslår också att Conny Jonsson omväljs som styrelseordförande. Jag vill här då kort säga något om bakgrunden till vårt förslag till styrelse. Och önskar ni mer information om det så hittar ni valberedningens fullständiga motivation på EQTs hemsida. Det är valberedningens bedömning att den nuvarande styrelsen är välfungerande, men att den bör förstärkas med 2 styrelseledamöter till följd av att Peter Wallenberg och Finn Rausing har avböjt omval. Och efter en grundlig rekryteringsprocess så föreslår valberedningen därför val av Margot Cook och Marcus Wallenberg som nya styrelseledamöter. Margot Cook kommer att tillföra en bred förståelse och expertis avseende globala marknader, kapitalflöden och klientfokus, vilket är strategiskt viktigt för EQT. Marcus Wallenberg har bred internationell affärserfarenhet inom flera olika industrier, inklusive den finansiella sektorn. Valberedningens förslag till styrelsearvode finns i kallelsen. Det innebär ett totalarvode om 1 330 000 euro med en fördelning som motsvarar vad som beslutades vid förra årsstämman. Valberedningen rekommenderar som tidigare att styrelseledamöterna över en 3-årsperiod förvärvar aktier i EQT motsvarande minst 1 års arvode. Valberedningen föreslår slutligen att KPMG omväljs som revisorer med arvode enligt godkänd räkning. Och med det så vill jag tacka för mig och lämna över till Erik Sjöman.
Tack så mycket. Jag ser inga frågor ställda till valberedningen. Och då är det alltså slut på frågor när det gäller den delen av frågestunden. Och då går ordet istället till EQTs revisor. Det är Håkan Rising. Det går bra att ställa frågor även till Håkan och de besvarar vi då efter hans anförande. Håkan, varsågod.
Tack så mycket, bästa aktieägare. Jag heter Håkan Olsson Racing och representerar KPMG och har ansvaret för revisionen 2020. KPMG har reviderat EQT-koncernen och i det ingår att vi granskar den interna kontrollen, processer, bokslutsarbetet, årsredovisningen och förvaltningen. Som framgår av revisionsberättelsen på sidorna 110 till 112 i årsredovisningen så har ett område där vi haft särskilt fokus varit redovisningen av så kallad carried interest. En post som innehåller ett visst mått av bedömningar och uppskattningar. I övrigt kan vi konstatera att den finansiella rapporteringen i EQTs verksamhet är okomplicerad. Kunskapsnivån inom företaget är hög och samarbetet mellan oss revisorer och bolagets styrelse och ledning har fungerat bra. Det är vår uppfattning att det inom EQT skapas bra rutiner för intern kontroll och för en ändamålsenlig finansiell rapportering. Sammanfattningsvis har vi lämnat en ren revisionsberättelse utan anmärkningar eller avvikelser av något slag. Vi har också deltagit i möten med EQTs revisionsutskott samt vid 2 styrelsemöten och där avrapporterat vårt arbete. Vi tillstyrker således att resultat- och balansräkningar för moderbolaget och koncernen fastställs, att vinsten disponeras enligt förslaget i förvaltningsberättelsen och att styrelsen och den verkställande direktören beviljas ansvarsfrihet för räkenskapsåret. Vi har i tillägg till revisionen även granskat efterlevnaden av stämmans riktlinjer för ersättning till ledande befattningshavare och avgett ett yttrande varav det framgår att granskningen inte föranlett någon anmärkning från vår sida. Och det var allt för mig. Tack.
Tack Håkan. Då ska vi se om det finns frågor till dig. Nej, det gör det inte, utan då tackar vi dig och går vidare. Nu är röstningen öppen ytterligare 1 minut. Och ni kommer som sagt till röstfunktionen om ni trycker på symbolen med ett stapeldiagram. Och det kommer att visas en liten klocka uppe i vänstra hörnet som en påminnelse om att ni måste rösta. Och under tiden som är kvar av röstningen så vill jag nu lämna ordet till Silja Holms Indahl som är vd för EQT Foundation. Varsågod.
At EQT, we strive to make a positive impact with everything we do. And in the light of increasing inequalities and rising temperatures, we wanted to do more. And that's one of the key reasons why we founded EQT Foundation, a foundation that will act as a guardian of EQT values over generations and use grants and catalytic capital to push the frontiers of impact. EQT Foundation builds on the values, thematic investment expertise, and entrepreneurial spirit of EQT and support the most promising and innovative entrepreneurs out there to help scale disruptive ideas that will pave the way to a more inclusive and cooler tomorrow. The EQT Foundation owns 1% of EQT AB and will use its ownership to retain long-term influence in EQT AB via a seat in its nomination committee and use its dividends and donations to benefit society at large. In EQT, we believe that everything can be improved. Therefore, we're partnering up with the founders that demonstrate that this is true, that there are better ways of doing things, always.
There are better ways of doing things, also when setting up a foundation. So we're coming out of a paradigm shift from where business was bad and philanthropies were good. And now, in this new reality, business is allowed to be good. And when you're setting up a foundation in that environment, you want to set it up to strengthen and build on the organization's capacity to do good in society. EQT Foundation is a long-term shareholder in EQT and doing exactly that, strengthening EQT's positive impact and contribution to society, but basing it on practicing and developing EQT's strengths. It is also acting as a guardian of EQT values and culture. So on the one side, you have the EQT Foundation Engagement Platform, a learning platform for high-performing EQTarians, where they get to work hands-on with entrepreneurs, a way for EQT to reward, retain, and attract talent. As you know, EQT Foundation was established by a group of partners that gave away a portion of their shares to EQT Foundation, resulting in EQT Foundation owning 1% of EQT. This committee acts as a strategic forum for the most senior partners in EQT, where they can also appoint and take in new partners as they come through the career path at EQT. They also hold a seat in EQT's nomination committee, and their role is to act as a guardian of EQT values. So together, these two platforms allows us to really push the frontiers of impact, using EQT's strength to work hands-on with entrepreneurs. And the first entrepreneur we supported was Maddie Hall. Maddie Hall is the co-founder of Living Carbon, bioengineering trees, having them grow faster and live longer, and being more effective at capturing carbon. The second founder we supported was Lech Ignatovic, who's the co-founder of Molecular Attraction. They're developing a chemical blend that mosquitoes prefer more than human blood, and that can be used to stop the spread of malaria. We have also supported Alison Dring. She's the co-founder of Made of Air. They're creating a carbon-negative material that can be used in consumer goods, application, and building facades. And last but not least, we've supported Brennan Spellisey, who's the co-founder of Patch, which is an API for carbon removal. Makes it really easy for businesses to connect their product with also carbon offsetting. And all these entrepreneurs are examples of how the challenges we face and the solutions we have today, that there are better iterations, there are better ways of doing things.
Tack, välkomna tillbaka. Ja, då är röstningen genomförd och nu ska jag redovisa utfallet punkt för punkt. Den som vill ha detaljer kommer hitta detaljerna i en bilaga till protokollet från stämman, och det kan ni ladda ner från EQTs hemsida några dagar efter stämman. Resultatet av röstningen kommer vi också visa på skärmen här. Punkt 8 först. Här har vi redan konstaterat att redovisningshandlingarna är framlagda, och det antecknar vi under den här punkten i dagordningen. Inget beslutsfattande här alltså. Punkt 9 däremot är en beslutspunkt, nämligen beslut om fastställelse av resultat och balansräkningar. Och nu ser ni utfallet på skärmen här. Orange betyder ja och grått betyder nej. Och stämman har alltså i enlighet med revisorns tillstyrkande beslutat att fastställa de framlagda resultat och balansräkningarna. Punkt 10. Vinstdisposition. Och stämman har som ni ser på skärmen här beslutat i enlighet med styrelsens förslag, vilket också är i linje med revisorns tillstyrkande. Punkt 11. Ansvarsfrihet. Och stämman har, som ni ser här, i enlighet med revisorns tillstyrkande beviljat styrelsens ledamöter och vd ansvarsfrihet. Och punkt 12 då, det är beslut om antalet styrelseledamöter och revisorer. Vi börjar med antalet styrelseledamöter. Och här ser ni att stämman har beslutat i enlighet med valberedningens förslag. Så antalet revisorer, och här har stämman också beslutat i enlighet med valberedningens förslag. Punkt 13, ja, det är arvoden, styrelsearvodena först. Stämman har, som ni ser här, beslutat i enlighet med valberedningens förslag. Och så revisorsarvode, och här har stämman också beslutat i enlighet med valberedningens förslag. Punkt 14. Här gäller det val av styrelseledamöter och också val av styrelsens ordförande. Och stämman har beslutat enligt valberedningens förslag även på de här punkterna. Punkt 15. Det är val av revisorer. Och här har stämman beslutat i enlighet med valberedningens förslag. Punkt 16. Här lägger vi fram styrelsens ersättningsrapport för godkännande och stämmans beslut är att godkänna den framlagda ersättningsrapporten. Så punkt 17, det är beslut om riktlinjer för ersättning till ledande befattningshavare. Och stämmans beslut är i enlighet med styrelsens förslag även här. Slutligen punkt 18, det är frågan om emissionsbemyndigande. Och det här förslaget kräver att aktieägare med minst 2/3 av både avgivna röster och vid stämman företrädda aktier biträder beslutet. Och det ser ni på skärmen här. Vi kan alltså konstatera att stämman har beslutat i enlighet med styrelsens förslag. Ja, då är dagordningen faktiskt genomgången. Jag tackar stort för visat intresse. Den här stämman är nu slut. Och ordet går då tillbaka till styrelsens ordförande.
Thank you, Eric, for taking us through today's agenda. And an even bigger thanks to all your shareholders for entrusting us to manage your savings. That is what EQT is all about. First, before we leave the floor to the panel, I would like to thank you, Finn Rausing. After serving on the board for 8 years, I'm very grateful for Finn's contributions. And Peter Wallenberg has also declined re-election, and it's been an honor and pleasure to work with you, Peter, on the board, and the way you have been challenging us well has been highly appreciated. So thank you both for that. I would love to hug them and give them flowers, but today's restrictions doesn't allow that. So we try to find another way to recognize their contributions. Before we open up for the panel, I would like to thank you, the managing director, or as we said in the old word, the managing partner of EQT, for the contributions that you have, or how well you have led the firm during this very, very rough year. I must say that I'm at ease with continue to run the company as we have been doing, irrespectively of what kind of weather we are facing. So thank you very much for that, Chris, and thank you for the way you led the firm and managed the management team. Thank you for that. With those words, now please join us for the panel discussion, where we will elaborate on how we are putting our purpose into practice. So we welcome Nicola, Per, Anna, and Olof.
EQT's purpose is to future-proof companies and to make a positive impact. It's been 1 year since EQT's shareholders decided to adopt the statement of purpose and reflect it in EQT's articles of association. But how does EQT put its purpose into practice? And how is EQT's purpose guiding investment decisions? And how do we nurture the EQT culture as people work from home while the firm has grown to employ nearly 1,000 people globally? I am joined by Per Franzén, Anna Wahlström, and Nicola Kim to discuss these and other important topics. As a sign of the times we live in, our panelists are all joining us via video from their respective locations, but they're all present on screen here in the studio. Now, let me first turn to you, Per, to focus on EQT's investment approach. Over the past year, EQT raised 2 new funds at approximately 15 billion euros each. Across the 2 funds, you have another 20 billion euros of committed capital to deploy. There are 2 questions that our shareholders frequently ask us. One, will you be able to generate the same returns with bigger funds? And how do you think about investing when competition for thematic assets is high and market valuations are close to all-time highs?
The answer to your first question, Olof, is yes. We continue to apply the same return targets today as in previous funds. Looking at our latest buyout fund, EQT 9, which is the largest fund that we've raised to date at 15.6 billion euros, we've already invested approximately 40% of the fund whilst generating more than 3 billion euros of co-invest for our clients. So our deal flow and our pipeline continues to be strong. And the reason for this is really our differentiated investment approach, the combination of our local presence across Europe and North America with a global thematic sector-based investment strategy. And this unique investment approach continues to be a competitive advantage for us when it comes to sourcing opportunities. And this then leads me to the second part of your question, and that is that we don't really speculate on macroeconomic developments or valuation levels in the short term. We don't have to, because we have a differentiated investment approach. Instead, we focus on managing vintage risk and cash flow profile for our clients on a multi-fund cycle basis. And in this market environment, you're right, it's an attractive environment to exit. So we're really focused on de-risking our funds across strategies and generating distributions for our clients.
Thank you. Maybe picking up on your first answer, you referred to EQT's thematic investment strategy. Would you mind elaborating on what does thematic investments mean in practice to you and to EQT?
Across EQT, thematic investing for us really means investing in line with our prioritized subsegments in our targeted sectors and making sure that we stay invested with the trend. And the two key trends that we invest behind across EQT is digitization and sustainability. In our targeted subsegments, we then handpick the most attractive opportunities where we think that we can make a difference as an owner using the EQT ownership model. A good example of a thematic investment is Fund 9's investment in Oterra, which is the former Natural Colors division out of Christian Hansen. So this was a carve-out where we saw an opportunity to apply the EQT toolbox to set the business up as a successful standalone entity, make the necessary investments, and then also to be able to have a true positive impact by accelerating the switch from synthetic colors to natural colors in food processing.
We started off the discussion talking about EQT's purpose to future-proof companies and make a positive impact. And EQT's mission is to generate superior returns for our fund investors. Do you see a trade-off between EQT's purpose and EQT's mission in this regard?
Yeah, during the last year, we've had a number of discussions in the executive committee and also in the private capital partner group to discuss and align on what purpose means for us and to align on our positive impact ambitions. And one of the conclusions from those discussions was that what we needed to do is in each of our investment committees across EQT ask ourselves whether a specific investment opportunity has the potential to contribute to making the world a better place. And I'm happy to say if I look at our deal activity across the firm over the past 12 months, that's exactly what we've focused on. So in our investment committees, we believe that being invested with the sustainability trend and applying the EQT ESG toolbox to future-proof investments, that is simply a good business. And so we're very focused on continuing to develop our ESG toolbox and to continue to drive sustainability innovation across our strategies.
Talking about sustainability, that's a good segue to you, Nicola. You joined the EQT board a year ago, and you brought additional expertise within the areas of sustainability. If you look back over the past year, what have been the most important topics for you, and what progress have you seen during your year with EQT?
Yeah, over the last year, there have been some major developments to strengthen and integrate sustainability across EQT. I've seen three main transformational changes. The first one is linking sustainability with the financial instruments at EQT AB level, and I've got a couple of examples. First, in May, we issued a sustainability-linked bond of 500 million euro, and that's the first for a private equity company. Another example is in November, we did an ESG-linked subscription credit facility of 1 billion euro. So that really is connected to fulfilling sustainability KPIs and helping portfolio companies to make progress. The second thing is climate-related actions. So EQT now tracks carbon emissions over its whole portfolio, so of more than 100 companies. And EQT will be the first private equity to set science-based targets. So those are linked to the Paris Agreement, and again, over the whole portfolio of companies. And finally, the major transformation I've seen is on sustainability disclosure and engagement. So EQT has made great steps over the last year in connecting material sustainability topics and SDGs, as well as combining sustainability and financial reporting. There are clear, measurable KPIs, and as we know, what gets measured gets managed. And now EQT is also preparing to report according to various standards, like the Sustainable Financial Disclosure Regulation and the EU Taxonomy next year. And finally, the board is very connected on sustainability, progress, and reporting.
And as we reflect over the past year, I think it's natural to also think about how the pandemic has impacted us and how we have adopted to it at EQT. Maybe back to you, Per. How has the pandemic changed the way you think about investing?
The main change is really that the world is moving faster than ever before post the pandemic. What COVID-19 really did was to accelerate existing trends that were prevalent already before the pandemic. And so for us at EQT, what this means is that we need to be even sharper in terms of spotting trends early on. And the way we do this, for instance, in private capital, is that we collaborate across all our strategies, so across ventures, growth, and our private equity strategies, as well as our global sector teams, to help each other be and remain ahead of the curve. We're also using our AI tool, Motherbrain, to facilitate the cooperation across our strategies and to help us become more data-driven in our deal sourcing efforts. Of course, we're also sharing best practices when it comes to ESG topics or HR topics, and here we're working closely together with Anna and her team to ensure that we progress our diversity and inclusion ambitions, but also that we help our teams in the best way when it comes to mental health, which has become an increasingly important topic during the pandemic. And of course, then what we're doing again at the EQT level is to have regular discussions in the Global Investment Forum to share best practices and learnings also between business lines, so between private capital and real assets.
And as we talk about people and the pandemic, Anna, how has the pandemic impacted the way we work at EQT? And we heard Christian's presentation earlier where he talked about culture being a success factor for EQT. How do you actually manage and nurture the EQT culture during times like these?
Well, of course, the opportunity to meet up randomly and in social interaction where a lot of the storytelling used to happen, that has disappeared. So instead, we have to be much more planned and conscious about how we maintain the storytelling and the message we want to get across to the organization. And the good thing is, by having to take an active approach here, we've been able to plan the message we want to send, and we've been able to send them to everybody across the whole organization. So there's actually benefits in that we had to change a bit the approach during this year and couldn't rely as much on the random daily interactions that used to happen by itself. One example is that we've planned and held what we call the purpose journey across the organization, where we invited all of our employees to continue to reflect about what our positive impact actually means, what we do on a daily basis in our business, what it means for me as an individual, and how that means that I will change the way I think and act. So those are kind of examples that we've done to continue to work on the culture.
And staying on the culture for a bit, with Exeter, EQT now employs about 1,000 people globally. How do you think about nurturing the culture during this growth journey?
Yeah, I mean, culture is embedded in everything we do, and it's a key part of the whole onboarding journey of new staff who joins us. So we have the introduction days where we meet up with all the new staff, where this is a key component. We ensure that all new staff gets a buddy appointed. And as we open up new offices that we also been doing, we send people over who can carry the EQT culture with them and help the new team members on the ground on a daily basis on how we think about the different decisions and how we behave.
And as part of our growth journey, we are hiring a lot of staff. Looking back in the past years, excluding Exeter, we added about 100 people annually. How does EQT compete for talent globally?
Well, it has to continue to be the best employer out there, and being the best employer for the people that we believe in for the future and that we want to be able to attract. And a lot of the topics that are important for this group, these stellar people that we believe in for our future, has to do about creating opportunities, learning platforms, and it also has a lot to do with early exposure. What do you get to work with? How do you get to work with it? And with whom do you get to work? So the people that we have in the organization is actually a key part of the offering to new people joining us, and also the culture, which also means that we have to continue to be super picky in who we allow into our organization, because they're part of the offering of being a great work experience. So we're super picky on culture, we're super picky on values, and also on potential.
And today we are talking about how EQT puts its purpose into practice. Would you say that EQT's purpose is a differentiator for you in terms of the global market for talent?
Of course it is. I don't think anyone who joined us in the recent years would have joined us unless we actually genuinely believed in this topic. And this is also the comments we get from across the organization. Not only that we have the topic on the agenda, because I would presume most firms have it today, but that we actually genuinely push it forward has been important for the new staff joining. And Nicola, I mean, you joined the board a year ago. How important was this topic for you taking the decision to join us?
Yeah, thanks, Anna. I was really impressed with EQT's purpose-driven company culture, and I recognize the opportunity for EQT to make a positive impact and also inspire other companies in the investment industry. The fact that EQT has the philosophy to future-proof companies and make positive impact in everything it does, it's really powerful. And transforming companies to create environmental, social, and economic value. So when I joined, EQT had a lot of good things in place. There was a clear focus on linking actions to the Sustainable Development Goals. There was, sustainability in different parts of the business, from due diligence to really measuring positive impact during ownership. There were targets on renewable electricity and diversity. So I could see that a lot of good things were already in place. But I did see opportunities for me to contribute to really help EQT make the next step in sustainability.
And Nicola, you joined EQT's board of directors, but you bring a background and experience from your work with sustainability at Signify, and you also have experience from Dunlop. What did you bring to EQT that you can apply from those other roles that you have?
What I've been able to bring from my work at Signify is how to deploy sustainability throughout an organization, how to put it into practice, and also being on the board of one of the portfolio companies, Dunlop. Allows me to see how portfolio companies can really live the EQT company culture, live the values, put sustainability into practice in a very tangible way. And it shows me the unique opportunity EQT has to shape the investment landscape, to lead the way, to differentiate.
After today's AGM, we have 50% women on the board of directors of EQT. But if we look at the organization, we still have only about 10% of the partner group being women. Anna, back to you. What is EQT doing to address this and to increase diversity?
It's a topic we've been working very extensively with for many years. The important point in these topics is to really understand the real facts behind it and what is the issue for us to really fix it long term. And in our industry and for us, it's a lot about the intake. So the current partner group we have is an heritage of how our organization looked like 15 to 20 years ago. And not only our organization, but the whole industry. So we have to really fix the fundamental topic of ensuring that we get more people to join our industry, because this is an industry which has an apprenticeship model. It takes a long time to learn the skills that is necessary to become a great partner. So a lot of the topics we're working on has to do with that intake perspective. We're working hard on ensuring that the talent pools that we recruit from are also expanded to have more women within those. One example is that we work now since a few years with a 25% service provider rule that we call it, where we ask our service provider, which is the banks and the consultancy firms, and also the talent pools we hire from, to have at least 25% women on their teams working for us. That could seem a bit low with 25%, but that's also telling about the starting point, where there were many cases where there were no women in the project teams working for us. So we're taking it step by step and making it realistic, so at least they can achieve it. And that has actually led to that today we have 40% women on our junior investment advisory professional level. And it's on the investment advisory side that we have these targets and where we have the big issues. Overall, as a firm, we're at 40+% females on it. I was just going to say we're also working, like Nicola said, on the incentives for ourselves, so making sure we link it to the financing sides, making it that if we reach these targets, there's a positive benefit for us. So making it a bit fun for the organization as well.
Thank you. And if you were to put a time frame on it, when do you think EQT will actually have gender-balanced investment advisory teams? And the picture is similar on EQT's executive committee. When do you think in senior positions within EQT AB that we will have a more gender-balanced structure?
Unfortunately, it will take time. As I said, it's an industry movement that we're doing, and we're starting with the intake perspective. So I would say until we have, and we're not going to restart, so to say, and fire everybody and start from scratch. So I would say 10 to 15 years on the investment advisory side will be more balanced, with the intake having grown up to more senior roles as well. And the executive committee, we're a mirror of the whole organization. We're 8 in the committee, and 6 of them come from the investment advisory side, where 2 of us have a different background. And of those, I'm a woman, so we're 50% of the non-investment advisory professionals in that group, which mirrors the overall organization, the specialist roles, where we're also 50%. But of course, we have to fix the fundamental investment advisory professional cohort to really reach a different level also in the executive committee.
Thank you. Maybe turning to you, Per, how do you work with these topics also in the investment advisory teams?
Yeah, I mean, continuing to improve diversity is a top priority for us across the board, really. And when it comes to gender diversity specifically, we have made good progress in parts of the investment organization, if I look at the associate and the VP level, and also in our portfolio company boards. But as you said, or as you just heard from Anna, diversity is obviously about more than just driving gender diversity. So what we're doing now as a next step in EQT Private Capital is to actually set specific diversity targets for each office, depending on the needs of the office, right? So it could be about setting specific socioeconomic, racial, age, or other appropriate diversity targets, depending on the needs of that specific team.
And as we start to round off this discussion, we heard Christian talking earlier about the state of EQT and EQT probably standing stronger than ever. Perhaps starting with you, Per, what would you be most concerned about at this point in time?
It's really about what we've been talking about earlier. The world is moving faster than ever before. So my main concern is that we don't accelerate our sustainability, digitization, purpose initiatives fast enough across the board. But would be very interesting here also to hear what the others say.
I would actually say that speed is definitely one of my concerns as well, and needing that speed, but it also means we have to build that rocket ship while we fly.
And Nicola?
Yeah, in addition to speed, I think managing complexity, because we have so many different kinds of portfolio companies in different industries, and we need to give them the ownership to really deploy and shape their sustainability programs if we're going to live sustainability overall as EQT.
Thank you. And one final question from me to you all. If you were to describe EQT's purpose in one sentence, what would that be? And maybe we start with you, Anna, this time.
Well, it really means everything. It makes pushing for performance so much more meaningful and fun. It really makes me, and I would say a lot of my colleagues, to really want to walk that extra mile every single day.
Nicola?
Yeah, it means really creating positive impact with business, with the environment, and making it measurable.
I think Anna put it really well. It's about having a meaningful job where you show up every day with a lot of inspiration and positive energy to have a true positive impact.
Thank you all very much for participating in the panel. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I think Per's words were an excellent ending of this panel, and I hope you leave it inspired and with positive energy. Thank you.